You were not designed to chase things. You were created to attract them. That's why frustration often sets in not because you're lacking effort, but because you're applying it in the wrong direction. Most people spend their lives pursuing what they want, never stopping to ask, why do I want it? Or was I born for this? And so they run, they hustle, they grind, and still feel empty. Because getting what you want is not about working harder. It's about aligning with who you truly are. See, the key is not to chase things. It's to become the kind of person things are drawn to. Purpose attracts provision. Vision attracts resources. Identity attracts opportunity. That's a law not just of success, but of creation. You were never meant to beg the world for what you need. You were meant to command it not with arrogance, but with authority. The authority of a person who knows who they are, why they're here, and what they were born to do. And until you discover that not what you want, but who you are, you'll keep reaching for things that don't belong to your destiny. Purpose attracts what effort alone cannot. That's a principle most people never truly grasp. From the moment we're born, the world teaches us to hustle, work hard, push harder, stay up later, grind longer. But no matter how much energy you exert, if your direction is wrong, your destination will always be off course. You can run full speed and still be going nowhere. The Bible says in Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Not according to their effort, not according to their ambition, but according to purpose. That means purpose is the gravitational pull that aligns every resource, every opportunity, every relationship, every closed door, and every open one. Purpose is what gives your labor meaning. Without it, effort becomes exhausting. Look around you. Some of the hardest working people in the world are also the most frustrated. They're climbing ladders leaning on the wrong wall. They're sowing seeds in soil that was never assigned to them. And they wonder why there's no harvest. But when a person discovers their purpose, they stop chasing results and start attracting them. Because purpose is like a magnet. Once you're in alignment, what belongs to you begins to find you. Have you ever noticed how birds never worry about flying lessons? Fish don't struggle to swim. Trees don't compete to grow. Everything in creation functions effortlessly when it's operating in its purpose. You've never seen a lion trying to be a zebra. Why? Because purpose makes performance natural. So why is it that humans, God's highest creation, spend most of their lives doing things they were never built to do? It's because we confuse movement with progress. But activity does not equal productivity. Ask yourself, are you working hard or are you working right? Are you busy or are you becoming? The danger of a life without purpose is that you can succeed at the wrong thing. And what good is success if it leaves you empty? That's why the cemetery is the richest place on earth, because so many people die full of effort, but empty of meaning. They had the energy, they had the drive, but they lacked direction. When God created Adam, he didn't give him a job first. He gave him a purpose to cultivate, to manage, to lead, to steward the garden. Provision came after purpose. Eve came after purpose. Dominion came after purpose. What does that tell us? That everything you need is connected to the assignment you were created for. You don't need to manipulate people. You don't need to strive endlessly. You don't have to chase what God already aligned with your identity. Your job is not to force doors open, it's to become the kind of person who causes doors to recognize you when you walk by. When you step into purpose, effort becomes alignment, and alignment attracts what labor never could. Identity precedes provision. That truth changes everything. Before you can receive what belongs to you, you must first become who you truly are. Not who the world told you to be, not who your job trained you to be, but who God originally designed you to be. Because God never funds impersonation. He only provides for purpose that flows from true identity. Look at Genesis. Before God gave Adam dominion, he gave him identity. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, Genesis 1:26. Image first, likeness first, function came later, provision came later. God never releases resources without identity, because provision is tied to design. If you don't know what you are, you'll misuse what you receive. This is why some people receive blessings and still live in bondage. They get the thing, but they lose themselves. Because identity wasn't established first. What good is it to gain a throne if you don't know you're a king? What's the value of being given a vineyard if you still see yourself as a slave? Have you ever seen someone win the lottery and lose it all in a year? The money changed, but the mind didn't. The status changed, but the identity remained broken. And that's the danger. Provision without transformation is always temporary. You can't hold permanently what your character can carry. Even Jesus faced this test. Before he began his public ministry, before the miracles, before the provision, before the crowds, the heavens opened and a voice declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew 3:17. God affirmed his identity first, not after he did great things, but before. Because identity doesn't come from performance, it comes from the one who made you. And that's the mistake many make. We try to earn what we were supposed to inherit. We think if we do more, we'll become more. But the kingdom doesn't work that way. In the kingdom, you must become before you receive. You must discover your true name before the inheritance is released. Ask yourself, who am I outside of what I do? Outside of what I've achieved? Outside of what people call me? Because until you answer that question, provision will feel like pressure, not purpose. You'll keep trying to qualify for what was already yours by design. Think about David. He wasn't chosen because he was popular. He wasn't invited to the ceremony. But identity was already in him. A shepherd boy with a king's heart. When Samuel anointed him, nothing around him changed, but everything within him did. That oil didn't fall on a title, it fell on identity. That's why you must stop chasing provision and start uncovering your original identity. Because when you know who you are, the environment adjusts to fit you. Favor finds you. Doors open for you not because you force them, but because they recognize you. You don't receive because you need, it comes because you become. You were created to attract, not to chase. That may sound simple, but it goes against everything culture teaches. From a young age, we're told to run after success, chase dreams, pursue wealth, follow people, climb ladders. But there's a difference between pursuit and positioning. When you chase something, you often do it out of fear that it won't come. But when you attract, it's because you become aligned with the source of it. The Bible never says, seek first your desires. It says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Added, not chased. That's a principle of divine alignment. When you're in the right position, things begin to come to you, not become them, but because you became the kind of person who draws them in. The blessing is attracted to order. The favor of God is drawn to alignment. Think of a tree planted by a river. It doesn't move. It doesn't run after the rain. It doesn't chase sunlight. It stays rooted. Everything it needs comes to it in season. That's how you were designed to live, rooted in purpose, steady in identity, and consistent in becoming. The problem is, many people are constantly uprooting themselves, trying to find something they were meant to grow into. Have you ever asked why certain people always seem to have opportunities come their way? Why do doors open for some while others are always knocking? It's not just about talent or intelligence. It's about presence. Some people have cultivated an internal atmosphere of clarity, peace, and purpose that attracts the right relationships, the right ideas, and the right timing. They don't chase because they've become. That's how Jesus lived. He never ran after a platform. He never begged for an audience. Crowds followed him. Doors opened to him. Needs found him. Why? Because he was walking in full awareness of who he was and what he was sent to do. That kind of clarity draws what belongs to you. The danger of chasing is that you can catch what was never meant to be yours. Just because you worked for it doesn't mean it fits your life. Just because you caught it doesn't mean it completes you. Some of the worst burdens people carry are things they chased and captured outside of divine timing. So here's the question. Are you attracting what aligns with your purpose or chasing what feeds your insecurity? Because whatever you chase has power over you. But what you attract is a result of who you've become. And the moment you stop running and start becoming, you will find that what you were looking for was already searching for the real you. When you grow into who you were born to be, what you need will recognize you and come without force. Vision is the magnet for resources. That's a law, both in the natural and in the spiritual. Wherever there is clear, compelling vision, provision begins to follow, not because of need, but because of direction. Heaven does not respond to desperation, it responds to intention. God does not move just because you're tired or frustrated or lacking. He moves where purpose is known and vision is made plain. That's why in Habakkuk 2:2, God told the prophet, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. Not think about it, not wish for it. Run. Vision produces movement, and when movement begins, provision starts to gather. The problem with many people is not that they don't have faith, is that they have no picture, no blueprint, no direction. And wherever there is no vision, resources have nowhere to land. You can pray for rain, but if you haven't dug a ditch, you won't be able to hold the water. Vision is the ditch. It's the container for the future. When you have vision, you start to speak differently, you think differently, you manage your time differently, and suddenly you become a steward, not just a dreamer. And God funds stewards. Think about Noah. God gave him a vision, a detailed plan for something the world had never seen. There were no boats before Noah. There was no rain. Yet Noah built. And as he built, the resources came, the animals came, the doors opened, not because he chased provision, but because he obeyed vision. God didn't provide the wood until Noah committed to the plan. That's how vision works. It stretches your faith and attracts the very things needed to fulfill it. Have you ever noticed how someone with a strong sense of direction rarely lacks support? People are drawn to clarity. Investors are drawn to structure. Helpers are drawn to purpose. When you're unsure of your path, even good people won't know how to walk with you. But when you show up with vision, clear, compelling, and rooted in purpose, you give others something to believe in, something to attach themselves to. Ask yourself, what picture have I painted for my future? Is it clear enough for others to run with? Or are you waiting for provision before you define your plan? Because God doesn't fund confusion. He's a God of order. He doesn't drop resources where there's no preparation. And vision is preparation. Vision says, I'm ready. I've seen the end. Now I'm building toward it. When you walk with vision, you begin to live like the future is more real than the past. You're no longer distracted by the opinions of others or the limitations around you, because vision speaks louder than obstacles. And when you protect your vision will begin to protect you. Provision is already assigned. It's just waiting on you to get serious about the picture. Becoming is the gateway to receiving, not asking, not wishing, not even working, becoming. Because in the kingdom of God, God doesn't bless who you pretend to be, he blesses who you are. And more specifically, who you're becoming in alignment with his original idea for your life. The tragedy of life is not a lack of blessings. It's stepping into blessings you were never prepared to carry. God is not interested in giving you what you want if it will crush the version of you that's still underdeveloped. That's why Galatians 4:1 says, the heir, as long as he is a child, does not differ at all from a slave, though he is master of all. Think about that. You can have an inheritance with your name on it, resources, relationships, doors, favor, but if you haven't matured, you'll live like a servant instead of a son. The gift is real, the name is on it, but the timing is locked to your development. This is where many people miss it. They keep asking, why haven't I received it yet? When the real question is, have I become the person capable of carrying it? You don't receive by force, you receive by formation. The process is not punishment, It's preparation. God will never deliver something to you that will destroy you. If the thing you're asking for requires a version of you that hasn't been formed yet, He will hold it until you grow into it. You don't put a crown on a child's head and expect them to rule a kingdom. Even Jesus, the Son of God, went through a process of becoming. Luke 2:52 says, Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. He was born the Messiah, but he had to become the man, the teacher, the leader, the sacrifice. No shortcuts, no entitlement. Growth was required, even for him. Becoming is about transformation. It's about shedding layers, fear, insecurity, false identity, ego, so that what God deposited in you can fully emerge. That's why life brings pressure, not to break you, but to shape you. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They're forged under extreme conditions, and your purpose is no different. What you call to carry demands strength, clarity, and maturity. That's why you can't skip the becoming stage. Think about the story of Joseph. He had a dream as a teenager, leadership, power, influence, but that dream didn't become reality overnight. He went through betrayal, slavery, prison, but in every season, he was becoming. By the time Pharaoh handed him the keys to Egypt, Joseph wasn't the same boy who bragged about dreams. He was a man refined by process, equipped to handle authority, and wise enough to steward influence. He didn't just receive the position, he had become the person. The same is true for you. Whatever you're praying for is already prepared. The question is, are you? If the opportunity showed up today, would it find a version of you that's ready to manage it, multiply it, and not misuse it? Because God doesn't just give, you must grow. Becoming means letting go of impatience. It means welcoming the quiet seasons, the unseen years, the refining moments. That's where true strength is built. That's where character is tested. That's where motives are purified. And when you finally step into the blessing, it won't be a surprise. It will be confirmation that you became the one it was always meant for. You don't get what you pray for, you get what you prepared for. So now you see, getting whatever you want isn't about chasing, forcing, or begging. It's about alignment. When you discover your purpose, embrace your identity, stop chasing and start attracting, walk with clear vision, and commit to the process of becoming. What you desire begins to desire you. You don't have to manipulate what's already been appointed to your life. Your job is to become, to believe, and to build with intention, because everything you're looking for is already looking for the real you. Thank you for listening, thank you for growing, and thank you for choosing to rise into who you were born to be. May your journey be guided by clarity, your steps filled with courage, and your life marked by the undeniable evidence of purpose fulfilled. Good luck, and may favor find you exactly where you're becoming.